This is People I Know Show, a podcast about interesting people, personal growth, and being wrong. I'm Curt Carstensen. Today we talk Spartan Race. My guest today is my nephew Chase Carstensen, as well as a cameo appearance by his dad, my brother Chuck Carstensen. The three of us participated in the Spartan Race, the Minnesota Spartan Race, recently on Saturday, June 22nd, which also happened to be Chase's 16th birthday. So we chat about the Spartan Race and what that experience was like for me and for Chase, with the idea of that was something some time ago Chuck would not have done, I would never have done, then Chase would probably not have been able to do, and what it takes from going from not going to do something to doing it. And I would like to inspire you to do that or something else that you've not considered doing before. So that's the first part of the conversation. Later on, Chase and I talk about him being 16 and some of the things that are going on in his life and one of our memorable birthday outing experiences from a couple years ago. And then as always, we get into the personal growth and being wrong segments. Chase has learned some stuff about communication skills and he shares some of the ways he has been improving himself. And then in the being wrong segment, I'd like you to consider the people that are in your life. Are they there just because they've always been there? Or are they there because they've got your back and they have a desire to help you achieve your goals? Chase realized something about that recently for himself. As always, check the show notes for some of the things that we talk about during the episode. Now let's get into the conversation with Chase Carstensen. Chase Carstensen, my nephew, joins me today. Happy 16th birthday, Chase.
Thank you, Curdy.
Chase, we just finished and are in the car leaving Welch Village in southeastern Minnesota, heading back towards the Twin Cities. We just finished the Spartan Race, the first time you and I have ever done one of these.
Yep.
Can you describe what that was like to do a Spartan Race?
You know, I was going into it kind of like, I wasn't nervous, but I'd say the feeling was excitement. I was really, really amped up for this. And when we came into it, I was just like, all right, I'm going to stick with you and my dad because we're a team and we're going to do this together. And I had a lot of fun doing it.
And I think if I wasn't there and your dad wasn't there, or if you just would have decided to abandon us, you would have probably finished in somewhere near half the time, because you did spend a lot of time waiting for us old guys, but I appreciate that. Was it worth waiting for us? Or you kind of wish you could have tested yourself fully?
Well, I'm just going to say that next time I'm definitely going to go by myself.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good answer. I think I know what you mean. You are 16 today, and you are very athletic. I think compared to the average 16-year-old, you're quite athletic. What do you do on a daily basis that prepared you, either preparing for this specifically or just prepares you to be athletic for whatever you do?
Well, for this Spartan Race, it just happened to fall in line this past week. I had strength and conditioning Monday through Thursday, and then right after that, for three of those days, Tuesday through Thursday, I had another basketball camp, and then Tuesday through Friday, I had a different basketball camp to go to, and then Wednesday and Thursday, I had another open gym, and then Monday and Tuesday I had baseball games. So like I was just very active this week, and I guess that just naturally was going to help me prepare for this because I'm always trying to stay active.
Do you recall the last time, like where a month's gone by where you haven't been active, or have you been active for as long as you can remember?
I guess probably last year of August, I wasn't super active. I took a break from football, so like I wasn't like active really during that month, and there wasn't like I was still doing a lot of basketball stuff, but summer baseball was done, and so I guess that's probably the only month, but now I'm doing football again. So
you're out there and you're handling it pretty easily. And there are some people that are maybe closer to my age. I'm 36 and your dad is 42. People in those ages and kind of older and younger that are in really good shape. You can tell they work out a lot. But there's people like me that really haven't worked out that much in recent years, but tried to work out. getting ready for this, and it is not an easy thing to do. So when you're out there cruising through it and you're seeing people like us huffing and puffing, what do you think of that?
I don't really judge. Like, I was just with you guys. I was just trying to like push you guys a little bit, and then like stay together. With others, I didn't really bother with them. Like, I didn't like care to look. I was just focusing on you two, making sure that we were sticking together.
What we haven't done so far in talking about this is explain really what a Spartan race is. So they told us at the beginning, what was it, 3.5 miles long, which doesn't seem so bad to people like us that have run 5Ks. But what that doesn't tell you is it's on ski slopes. And was it 3 or 4 times we ran up the equivalent of a relatively big ski slope?
Yeah.
Not ran up. I mean, you could run up if you could,
but
you might have been able to run up.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to walk most of it because everybody else was walking. I would have ran some of it, but not the super steep slopes, but some of the less steep slopes I would definitely try to run up them.
So in the midst of the 3.5 miles, with some of that being up very deep inclines on ski slopes, they had what they said was 21 obstacles. I think it might have been 18 obstacles plus 3 big inclines, however they totaled it. And I was quite proud of myself because I think it was all but 4 of the obstacles I was able to complete. And basically, it was the 3 that needed pretty good upper body strength, which I don't have, and the one where you threw a big javelin type thing, and I didn't quite throw it accurately enough. And you, how many times did you not complete an obstacle?
Twice. It was the javelin throw. Yeah, it kind of sucked that it was only one try. I would like to try it again, but it's okay. And then the last one, the rope climb, which I did my 30 burpees, and then I saw how people did it. I'm like, oh, that's like, there's a way to do it. Like, it's not just like pulling yourself up. Like, even the most strongest, most athletic looking people that have done tons of Spartan races, they had a method to how they like climbed or scaled the rope, I guess.
You could tell the people that maybe at some point in their life have been in the military or had a type of Phi Ed program that taught you how to climb a rope. I never climbed a rope vertically in my life. So when I got there, not only was I tired with my upper body strength not quite being up to par, I didn't have any technique. So I tried a couple times to get off the ground, barely could, and just realized I guess I'll go do the burpees. So the burpees is like a push-up plus jumping jack all in one thing. And I really, by the time toward the end, I wasn't really doing the jumping jack part of it. I was just happy to get myself off the ground. And that's like the penalty. If you can't complete the obstacle, that's what you do. So I only had to do that a few times. Was there an obstacle that you were able to get through that you found to be the most difficult, or a couple of them that really stood out to you as, wow, this is not what I expected?
Okay, definitely the sandbag carry up the hill. I was just like, oh my goodness, trotting up that hill, just like, it was dragging me down. And when I lifted it off, like, I still felt like I had a weight on me. It was just that type of thing that just dragged on me. And it was so, like, I had to be so in control of my body at that point, because if I made a wrong move, I'd really injure myself, because I chose to take a heavier bag. And I was like, oh my goodness, if I like step wrong here, I'm gonna break something, because my body was fatigued. And it was definitely like a slow grinding obstacle that you couldn't really just rush through.
And this was a sandbag, or it was a bag filled with sand. It was kind of long, so you could spread out the sand depending on how you picked it up and how you put it over your shoulder or around the back of your neck. I had mine over my right shoulder mostly. I might have flipped one side over my left shoulder too, with most of the weight on the right side. But that was about 2/3 of the way through the course where we come up to this obstacle. I didn't prepare well, both like physically. I wasn't quite up to what I needed to do to
to excel. I completed it. I'm very proud of myself to get through it. But also, I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that I'd have to carry a sandbag up like probably 1/3 of a ski slope. Yeah. I don't know how far that is, how many 100 feet, maybe a couple hundred feet up. And the thing about it is, you can see where you get to the leveling point where you walk across to come back down. But as I got close to that, I could feel myself just realizing I only had enough steps in me basically to get to the top. And I was feeling like I was about to throw up actually, but I was able to just keep it together enough and actually get there. And once I did, I knew going down would be easier. Going down is always easier. But that was one of the more challenging ones for me that I knew I could get through it, but it was close. Yeah. Like one that I knew I was capable of, but I was on borderline about to fall over.
Another one for me was the monkey bars, kind of, because I did not expect them to be that far away. You really had to use your momentum and get really a good stride with your arms to get to the next monkey bar, because I failed twice on it. I did not go to momentum. I thought I could just like swing, and I was just like, shoot, I need my momentum. And then finally I got it done, and I was just like, ooh, thank God, because I did not expect the monkey bars to be that far stretched from each other. They were a good like 5 feet.
The monkey bars was maybe obstacle 3 or 4, and that's one where I realized if I worked on my upper body strength a little more, I could have done it. I got about halfway through it, and I didn't quite have it. I was trying to be positive, but at a certain point, I realized I couldn't keep swinging. I just wasn't quite strong enough to do that.
Yeah. You were ahead of me, and I was like, oh, he's going to get it. And then you dropped, and I was like, oh, come on, Kurt, you could have done it.
And that was the first burpees. And then when I did the burpees, I realized, that it had been worth it to work a little bit harder in the weeks leading up to this to get through that one obstacle, to not do the burpees in that moment. Because you do the burpees the first time, and it just kind of wears you down. And, yeah. So what else is there? Okay, so also in the vehicle right now is my brother Chuck, who was on episode 2. Hi, Chuck.
Hello.
And thanks, I'm glad that you did not tell me, and not that I did not do the research, that there was this obstacle to go into mud and then fully submerge yourself briefly to go under an obstacle in the mud and reemerge and then climb over some other muddy hills and then climb up some rope that I'm very surprised that I was able to climb up that rope. I guess it wasn't that hard by the end of it, but you feel so much heavier and yuckier, and I don't feel like my grip's going to be any better at that moment. Maybe it actually was. So thank you for not telling me about that one.
I forgot about it because I did a Tough Mudder and a Rugged Maniac last year, and those have more submersible water obstacles, and I forgot. And last year when I did the Spartan, it was in the rain basically, so everything was mud. People were sliding down the hills and so on, and you'd bear crawl up the hills, which now in retrospect, I think I did better bear crawling up the hills than trying to walk, because I think that last hill I had to stop 10 times, and that's where you passed me. It was not good.
I was proud that I was able to keep up with you, and actually, I guess maybe not proud that I was able to pass you at some point, but I know you've been working out really hard, as any old guy that needs, I mean, not old, but you're kind of old.
I'm 42.
You're 42. So you need to be in good workout shape to have a chance to succeed in this. And still, you had trouble going up those hills down the stretch. I did too. I had to stop, but you stopped a little bit longer than me. And it made me feel good that I was able to at least show my youthfulness and get past you one time.
Well, just for people to know, last year when I did it, they did the hills less, but they had a couple harder upper body strength ones. So I did burpees 6 times last year. I was proud of myself. This year I only had to do them 3 times, but that was because they eliminated 2 of the upper body strength ones that were harder, and then I made my javelin toss, which I almost did like a touchdown dance when I made it. I screamed like super excited, and then watched other people do burpees for a while. That was fun.
And you did this last year, Chuck, and I guess the theme of the podcast lately, a big focus is everyone I have on has influenced my thinking or influenced my actions in some ways. So I don't know, I might get back to you a little bit later in this conversation with Chase, but you specifically have influenced me to do this. I would have never done this today if you hadn't done it last year, and just the way that I am now. When someone suggests that I do something, I have a hard time saying no. So thank you for influencing me. And I'd hope that having this conversation, even though we probably make it sound really difficult and really like a terrible thing to do, no, I feel great right now that I finished. And if there's anyone out there that needs that kind of encouragement to go a little bit above and beyond what they've done, I would like this to represent what you represented to me as influencing my actions to do something differently. So please tell me what it was that got you going into this, and I guess thank you for getting me involved.
A couple things. I think if we had a bigger group and more people would want to do this with us next year, or we could go to another state close by, it'd be more fun because then we could break off. Like the elite people like Chase could have a couple buddies to go with him, and then the people like me and Curt could have a couple buddies with us, and then Chase wouldn't feel bad for going ahead because he'd have a couple elite buddies. And we'd push ourselves together in our second crew. So I'd like to invite other people to do it with us because it does help you going in a group. Last year, I'd have to look up my time, but I was faster this year. And that's partially because I had Chase, like, come on. And Chase, at some point, he might have seemed disappointed, but it's like, hey, I'm doing better than last year. And those hills almost killed me. And then the second thing, the reason I did this is because Michael Bernoff texted me one day, hey, you got the Spartan book? Are you going to do a Spartan? I'm like, I'm not. I was thinking, I'm not going to do a Spartan. But when Bernoff asked me to do a Spartan, and a lot of the Bernoff people have done Spartans that we know, I'm like, okay, I probably should push myself and do a Spartan. And just the extra training, at least in my case, for my age, has gave me a little more confidence and gives me more energy to get through the week and get through the months. And sometimes, in my real estate business, it's a grind. But the extra energy and a little bit better shape I am than maybe a lot of people at 42, it helps me do better and work harder. So that's why I do it. So I want to keep the momentum going. And like I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't mind doing a Rugged Maniac in a couple months. Those are fun.
Thank you, Chuck. And I'll accept anyone that's listening that wants to either email peopleiknowshow@gmail.com and say, yes, I want to be involved in this next year. If I get some people that do that, or reach out on Facebook, on the People I Know Show page, or Instagram or YouTube, however you're listening, and reach out. If this sounds like something you want to be involved in and you need the extra encouragement to do a little bit more than you've done, that's what I need. That's who I am. That's what this show is all about, is influencing actions and thinking. And I thank you, Chuck. And I guess Michael Bernoff, Chuck and I talked about that in episode 2. And then Michaela on her 18th birthday, my niece Michaela, I had her on episode 26. Now let's get back to Chase. It's your 16th birthday today. What does it mean to you to be 16? Anything special for you?
It's pretty much just the opportunity that I have. I can get my driver's license now. Like, I'm eligible for that. It's another chapter. It's like, all right, that was chapter 15. Now it's chapter 16. What are we going to do? What's going to be better this next year than was better at chapter 15? So that's what I'm looking forward to in this next year. And
you're 16 today. You have your driver's test coming up when?
July 3rd.
July 3rd. And are you confident that you'll crush that and get your driver's license that day?
Yeah, my instructor gave me few techniques for 90-degree back in and parallel park, and those were the only two things that I didn't have as much confidence in as just the normal driving that you do. And now he showed me the techniques. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so easy. Like, if I knew this, like, I would literally have no trouble at all.
And on the way here, you drove from where we met in South Metro over down to Welch, Minnesota, about 40 minutes. I think that was the first time I ever rode in a car with you. And I would rate you pretty well as my first experience riding with you today, as Chuck was in the passenger seat. So I think you will do fine. And
right.
You would be driving right now if I didn't want to record this with you. So it's a good thing you're not driving and recording. It's probably best.
Yeah, that would have been quite the task.
So you did tell me that as you're entering your junior year of high school, you do have some intentions, unless they've changed, for your last couple of years of high school that I think are fairly ambitious, but also pretty smart. If you want to talk about that, what you're intending to do?
I believe you're referring to my PSEO.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
What's that, post-secondary?
Yeah, post-secondary enrollment opportunity,
okay.
I believe it's called. I can't remember. But, yeah, so I decided to do that for a few reasons. The first being... I believe it's a better challenge than high school classes. Although they have college classes at the high school, all of these classes most of the college classes that I'm taking would be at the college. I may take a few still at the high school, and just like other things like choir and Spanish still at the high school, but for the most part it's at the college, and then I can transfer the college credits that I've earned to a different college because they have a system where I go to school to like transfer that college credit from PSEO to high school credits, and then the college credit I have for PSEO will still count for 4-year college or 6-year college, whatever I'll be doing.
So what it does essentially is it saves you some money and saves you some time.
Yep.
So that you're giving up, I suppose, some of the social opportunities of high school. You're going to miss some of the time with your friends that you've grown up with, but you will be ahead in other ways.
Yeah, and that's why it helps to have your license at 16, because now that's why I didn't have a fear of, I'm going to miss out socializing, because now with the ability to drive, then we can just drive and do like homework together or something like that, or do a different activity that connects us, and we can still socialize and then still like remain academically set.
And you're still in sports then. It doesn't keep you away from that.
Yeah. You can schedule it any way you like. So I can schedule it where I don't have any classes like from 3 to 5 or whatever, because that's normally when the sports are. It's right after school.
Well, I think that is a good idea. I know there's a few guys or a few people in my high school that did something comparable back in the day, and it seemed to be an advantage. They lost out on a little bit of social stuff, but I still saw them, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, it's very flexible. And with all the sports I'm in, and plus just the other activities, I'm also in FCCLA, Link Crew, and doing that will also still, like, I'll have priorities to come back to the school anyways.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Chase, and I'm proud of you that you're thinking ahead and just trying to get ahead in life as quickly as you can and have ambitious goals like that. Let's go back to the birthday conversation, as has been mentioned when I had your cousin AJ on and your cousin Michaela on, I think with Michaela as well. For the last 4 years, this might be the 5th year, assuming we haven't planned anything yet, every year as a birthday present to each one of my nieces and nephews, I spend the day with you doing something. And in fact, you and I, a couple of years ago, was the first time I ever like had a birthday outing that went more than one day. To me, that was maybe the most memorable one of all the ones I've done, because we drove to Nebraska. Is that, before we get into it, is that your most memorable one, or do you have another one that you also liked?
Yeah, there's only been one other one that I remember pretty good, and that was
Thanks.
Don't take it like that. It was the one where we combined me and AJ's present. Oh, that was for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Not birthday. That was Christmas. But we went to WWE Wrestling Mania or something like that.
Yeah, some live event at Target Center.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was fun. But that was Christmas. So, yeah, for birthday, yeah, definitely the Nebraska one was definitely the most memorable. It was pretty breathtaking.
So I think driving to Nebraska is not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world to do, but what made this one so special, Chase?
I would say the Iowa's highest point.
Yeah, so we are looking at things
funny
to do on this, 8-hour drive or so to where we were going ultimately in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Chase is doing some research. Oh, the highest point in Iowa is on the way. So we stopped there. We climbed higher points in Minnesota today, I'm pretty sure. This was just like, it was flatland. I did not understand how that was the highest elevation in Iowa. Somehow it must be, but it was really weird. You can skip that one if you're ever passing through Iowa.
Yeah, would not recommend that as a tourist destination. But what the main event was we went to a baseball game, and during the middle of that baseball game, the solar eclipse was going to happen, and so we went to the baseball game, and then midway through, when you could see the sun and the moon were starting to line up, then they took a break, and that was really cool to see. And I also caught a fall ball. That was fun.
Was a greater highlight seeing the total solar eclipse or catching the fall ball?
It was seeing the solar
Okay.
eclipse. That's like a once in a lifetime type of thing. It's
Most likely. I think it does come back to the United States a few more times in our lifetimes if we want to see it. But that was the first time in both of our lifetimes. And in our planning of what to do that year, we realized that was happening. And I looked at the map and thought, what is the easiest place to get to? And it happened to be Lincoln, Nebraska. And then I did a little research, and the Lincoln Salt Dogs, an independent baseball team, scheduled an afternoon eclipse game where they just stopped the game, middle of the game, and everyone there got the free 3D glass, not 3D, whatever they were, the solar eclipse glasses. I don't know if 3D glasses would have worked then. And yeah, we just laid on the berm, the grass in the left field side. And it was tricky though, because it was kind of cloudy most of the day, but I think it cleared up just enough, just in time to see the eclipse. And it's a surreal thing. And I'm happy that I was able to do that, and happy I had someone to go with.
Yeah.
And that was, of all the birthday activities so far, I've loved a lot of them, but that was pretty ambitious, because do you remember them? We were watching the baseball game, as most independent league or really non-Major League Baseball playoff games seem to be, to me at this point. They're mostly meaningless. They're fun to watch, but then we're like, we're kind of bored with this. But you wanted to catch a fall ball. You're like so certain you're going to catch a fall ball. And I want you to too, but you can't really, make that happen. Then all of a sudden this pop-up came right like towards us. And can you describe that memory?
I play baseball, so it was not like a hard one to track. I just stood up, had to take like a couple of steps in and just caught it. And I was just like, oh wow, this is really nice baseball. And like, I was just like, that goes into the collection like of how many baseballs I have from like different leagues, like amateur league or minor leagues, and then the major leagues, and then like fall balls or home runs or other type of like. And the ending, I remember we were down in Florida for spring training one time, and I got like a inning ending fall ball, or not fall ball, but like whatever the play was.
The player tossed it to you?
Yeah, the player tossed it to me. And so like that just went up with my collection of some of those other great memories of getting just different types of baseballs from different baseball games.
Yeah, as a kid, I never got any ball out of a live game. I remember maybe some batting practice home runs at the Metrodome back in the day, but never a game ball. And so that's, I imagine, a pretty cool experience, especially when you're a little bit younger like you were. Now you're an old guy at 16.
Yeah. Well, I still would enjoy getting one of those fall balls, though, Another one for the collection.
I suppose one thing on my bucket list, if I were to have a true bucket list, would be to catch a fall ball or a home run ball at a major league game at some point. I've never done that.
Yeah.
If I go to enough games, it probably will happen, but maybe not. I've been to a lot of games and it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list too.
Chase, if you're ready, let's move on to the personal growth segment. And I've seen you grow up your whole life, of course. And I do see a lot of growth in you from some years ago to now, just the way you focus yourself and how determined you are. If you can, think about what you've been doing, what you are doing. When you think about the term personal growth, what can you share about yourself that you think has been effective that maybe someone else might find useful?
Well, the number one thing that comes to mind is Michael Bernoff's core strength experience, of course. Our whole family's basically gone through it, and that was definitely a life changer for me. It really flipped the script of who I was and who I was supposed to become and what I was really supposed to do in the world and how to do it and how to help people. And just I keep on coming back to it because I love it so much, and I keep on getting takeaways from it. And just every experience, I just love it every time, and I get something new, or just not even new, maybe it's just something that I already knew, but I got just understood it a little bit better, and I just keep on growing in that sort of way, just keep almost perfecting. I I don't like the word perfection. I just keep improving each and every little aspect of my life. And now it's really leading me into the right direction.
So I would like, if possible, anyone and everyone to experience something related to Michael Bernoff's trainings. And I can put a link to that into the show notes if someone wants to know more, or just reach out to me. I'm happy to chat more about that. But if someone doesn't end up going to something like that, how can you take what you've learned from there and something specifically, if you can draw from in your real life, away from that, what do you see yourself having improved at greatly over the past few years?
One thing that I really like to focus on each time I go there is the kinesthetic, visual, and auditorial people and the way you can communicate with them, because as I continue to improve my awareness to see that, and that just helps me communicate that much better with people, because if I continue talking like really fast, a person that wouldn't normally want to like talk that fast and would like to have a slow conversation, pronunciate everything and hear everything correctly, like I gotta adjust to that so then I can actually help them, because they'll actually shut me down if I'm doing something different. So it just helps me get on the right level to really be able to help them in any situation that they're in.
As we're all different, I think it's important to take the other person's perspective, and in that case, understanding how well they're receiving you and being aware of that and aware of how you might be able to adjust what you're doing, it sounds like you're saying is a way to be a more effective communicator with anyone that you come across.
Yeah, definitely.
Does anything else come to mind that you've improved at or really focus on?
Another thing that would come to mind is the power of language and just like the tone that you use it in. I remember my first core, I was able to go up on stage and I was just like, there was a moment, there was an exercise we were doing, and it was just like you would say like a word that you were or wanted to be, and I was just like, I'm influential. And when you say it like I'm influential, that doesn't really sound influential. It's like you're like happy. It sounds like happy more the way I said it than you're really influential. And I went through the exercise and I was eventually able to say it like it was a real thing. Like I am an influential man. And taking that and being able to actually make other people realize that, getting other people to be like, I am confident, like instead of being like, oh, I am confident. Like when my baseball team, if a person's going up the bat, I want to make sure they're confident so they're gonna hit the ball, and like I can get them to that point where they're like, I am confident, and that just helps the team out, and it helps me get better at doing that, getting other people to feel more confident and more powerful in themselves.
It's a good point, because I don't know if everyone realizes that the way you talk to yourself, the language you use to yourself, helps you to do whatever actions will follow and believe in yourself in a certain way. Plus, the people witnessing that, watching you, listening to you, will believe you much more as well. So those are a couple of good points you have learned from that, Chase, and I appreciate you sharing that today. Now, we have just a few minutes left as we're pulling into where my car is parked. I know you guys got to get going. It's the Being Wrong segment, Chase. Do you have something from your life that you look back on your 16 years and think, yep, I've changed my mind about that. I was wrong. What do you have to share?
Yeah, something that was really recent. I had a couple of friends that were really putting a drag on me, and it wasn't really going the way I wanted it to. And I bring this up not like to push them down or anything, but I was getting burned out because I'm trying to build like a group of people like around me so I can keep improving my life. And I thought these were some people that were going to help me, but instead they kept on dragging me down and burning me out. They would just like be blowing out the fire on my candle basically, and I couldn't take it anymore. So just as the school year was about to be done, I was just like, guys, I can't be around you anymore because you guys are like bad influences on me. And separating myself from that like has just really helped me grow in other ways and find different people that do want to help me improve my life, and that way I can actually help them improve theirs as well. Because as I've gone through my life, although it's only been 16 years, I find that if the person that you are closest to doesn't want to help you, you should not be close to that person. So I've just continued to search for different new people so we can create a collective goal to help each other. And it's a process, and I know it's going to take a while, but I'm excited for it, and then I just keep on building that.
That's powerful. That's something I'm not that great at, or maybe I haven't done that often, but what it sounds like you're saying you're wrong about is just because someone's been in your life and you consider them a friend or a close acquaintance doesn't mean you need to have them stay as close as they once were.
Yep. You nailed it, Kurt. That's exactly what I was saying. Way to translate.
That's what I do in the being wrong segment. I try to put it into words that I understand and maybe someone else would understand better as well. But it's been very enlightening to talk with you on this episode of People I Know Show. Chase, thank you for being there today and encouraging Chuck and I, even though we're a little bit slower than you. And next time, I'm sure you'll crush it with the other really fast young guys that you'll bring with.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you for listening to People I Know Show. Links are in the show notes for the People I Know Show Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. Also, you'll find links there to help you learn more about the Spartan Race. And be sure to reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or peopleiknowshow@gmail.com email address if being in a Spartan Race with us, or maybe a 5K, I've considered planning one of those. If there's any activities like that you need some help getting involved in, reach out. I'd be happy to have you on my team. Also, a link there to learn more about Michael Bernoff and the Core Strength Experience and some of the other things that he does that have helped Chuck, Chase, and I all greatly. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe on any of the People I Know Show social media accounts or in whichever app you're using to listen to this podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that now to keep the episodes and news on the episodes coming your way. One more time with the email address. If you'd like to reach out to me, Curt Carstensen, send an email to peopleiknowshow@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.